The Oilers just concluded practice here in Smashville, Tennessee, as they get set to take on the Nashville Predators in Game 3 of this 4-game road trip. Pleased to be joined by a voice of your Edmonton Oilers from the Oilers Radio Network, Bob Stauffer, and of course, the big news being Connor McDavid out 2 to 3 weeks. Is there a sense of relief given that he had to go back to Edmonton and he's only going to miss about 8 games or so, Bob?
Well, we don't know how many games he will end up missing because, as you know, Tony, he's been a quick healer during his career. But I think that when a guy of the caliber of Connor, and he's the most advanced, I would say he's the best player in the world and maybe the best player of all time, certainly statistically.
Most advanced player, as you always say.
He is, there's no question.
No question
We've
about
never
that.
seen a player this skilled this fast, and that's part of his game. So anytime you see a guy suffer a lower body injury like that, you're fearful that, you know, it could have a long-term scenario. It appears as though that has been dodged. The Oilers are still going to miss him tremendously. He's a fantastic player, and he drives the team. And he's, you know, I would say he's one of the. They've got lots of leaders, but he's kind of the main guy. So, you know, best case scenario of a difficult scenario, sure.
It's a big challenge for this group, isn't it, though? Because this is a team that's still trying to find its footing where they left off last year.
Tony, this team's got to score. Like, you know, you can sit there, and I know that there's been a couple tough starts for the goalies, and the penalty killings had some challenges, to say the least. It's dead and PK right now. But it's not like Edmonton's losing 7-5. Like, in one respect, you sit there and look at the save percentage of the two guys, and they both each won games for the Oilers as well. And the fact that the power play's at, I don't know, 13, 14%, and the penalty killing's at 62%, and you go, geez, they're 4-5-1. They could actually be worse off. And then you look at the other end of it, where you see the advanced metrics of the team and top 5 in expected goals for, 5v5, slot chances created, top 5 in the league on that. And you go, well, imagine what would have happened. At some point, this team will score goals. Now, without Connor McDavid, they were already having to play differently this year as a team, not having that secondary push through lines 3 and 4, not having guys with the pace of a McLeod or Holloway. This team's having to grow and change and sort of alter their approach a bit because they have different personnel. But now they don't have Connor McDavid, so they're going to have to batten down the hatches a bit. You know, certainly be defensively aware. That's an absolute given. They're going to need some stops. They're going to need some better play on special teams. But the thing that could help this team the most is just getting some puck luck. They haven't had a lot of puck luck, and it's the biggest thing that's undermined the success to the start of the season.
All right, Bob, 97 comes out of the lineup. Noah Philp and Philp Caggiula get called up with the big club. Now, based off line rushes, we can probably expect number 48 to make his NHL debut. Unsure about Philp Caggiula, but what a journey for Noah Philp.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's going to join Derek Ryan as the only active players in the league that have come out of the University of Alberta, so that's interesting. You know, Noah's dealt with some challenges along the way, but he had a stunningly good. You watched it. Like,
he was incredible.
Like, for a guy that didn't play hockey last year, he had an unbelievably good preseason, and he hasn't disappointed since going down to Bakersfield. One of the things. This is how well Philp has played. I had Colin Chalk on Oilers Now yesterday, and he was, you know, talking to me and saying, you know, because Noah didn't play last season, we were thinking maybe in the 3-hole to start, but he was so good, and he lasted. I mean, he was right. He was the final cut on the team. Played 6 preseason games. He basically played first-line minutes every situation: power play, penalty kill. He's improved in the face-offs. He's a big man, 6'3", right shot. So I'm excited to see. You know, what he can bring, and really happy for him to get this opportunity. I do think Drake's going to play as well. Okay. And in Drake's case, he's just stuck with it. And he had a difficult season last year, a couple injuries that he had to overcome. I thought he had, like Noah, a very good training camp. Like his quickness, like his competitiveness. Stan Bowman traded for him before when Stan was in Chicago. And I think that Drake at times as an Oiler helped provide some secondary offense with some opportunistic scoring. So I think he'll give the Oilers a little bit of boost and a little bit of tempo and pace further down the lineup. Noah has more underneath speed, like speed that gets gradual, and then he's fast. Whereas Drake is quick. So they get a couple different looks there, and I do think I think obviously Noah's going to play, and I'd be very surprised if Drake doesn't get into some games as well.
Noah Philp had 3 points in 6 games for the Condors so far this season. Before the recall for Philp Caggiula, point per game in the AHL right now, 5 points in 5 games. It'll be interesting to see if the new number 8, not number 91, the last time he was here in Edmonton, now wearing number 8. We'll see if he draws into the lineup against the Nashville Predators tomorrow.
You look good for a guy that was in Nashville last night, by the way. So.
I appreciate that, Bob.
You're becoming a wily veteran.
Hey, you always got to be able to pivot here in Nashville, and that's also exactly what Chris Knobloch had to do with the power play units as well, because no Connor McDavid. Ekholm joins that first unit. A couple of new looks for the power play units.
Well, this is, I mean, that first unit, having the 2 defensemen on that first unit, now it's got to be stated, the Oilers' 3rd and 4th highest scorers right now are Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard behind Connor and Leon. But that's a bit of a throwback to how power plays looked in the late 80s when you'd have, a primary passer and then a guy that could shoot the bomb as 2 defensemen on 3 forward, 2 defenseman units. So going to be very intrigued to see how that one does. We should note the second unit did have 4 forwards. It had, Skinner along with Arvidsson, and then it had Henrique and Perry with Darnell Nurse. So 2 different units. To me, it's simple. More pucks to the net, crash the crease, create some chaos. And Ekholm's got 2 of the 4 Oilers power play goals this year.
Bob, let's have some fun. It's scary season. Right. It's Halloween night tomorrow night here in Nashville. When's the last time you dressed up for Halloween, and what did you go as?
Wow, that's a curveball.
That is a curveball. I got you. It is World Series as well.
Yeah, I want to say a police officer. To my neighbor was on the force. A guy I played with the Southside Athletic Club, Ricky Davis, and I showed up as a cop at a Halloween party for a lot of police officers. And you know what? They didn't think it was that funny. I think it was because I was already starting to get fat. Not quite as heavy as I am right now, but I think they're kind of ha ha ha. Yeah, the neighbor up the street that's not the police officer goes in the police officer outfit. So there you have it.
Well, whether you're on the force or not, you're always bringing the brute and force.
There we go. Well, may the force be with you.
Hey, Bob Stauffer and the Edmonton Oilers are set to go tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Mountain. Can't wait.